Let me transition from that to saying, well, what's going to happen, right? Because you may or may not be aware, but there was a health care reform bill that was passed and signed into law in March. And it turns out that the federal health care law says if you don't buy health insurance, you will be fined. And you will be fined by 2.5% of your income once this thing gets up and running. And it's not that you have to buy insurance. You actually have to buy insurance that, well, a bunch of people sitting in Washington decide behind closed doors you have to buy. As you can imagine, that would be a moving target each and every single year. Well, obviously, we conflict with that. There is also language within the federal health care bill that will significantly restrict your ability to spend your own money for legal health care services. On both fronts, of course, Prop 106, the Health Care Freedom Act, is going to conflict with that. So people say, well, what is going to happen? We've heard, for example, some state representatives who are in opposition claim you're just wasting everybody's time. It's going to be a lawsuit. Of course, there's federal supremacy. Well, it turns out there is no Supreme Court precedent that exists for a federal law to take away established individual freedoms that are protected in a state constitution. So, just real quickly again, we will have with Prop 106 individual liberties that are protected in our state constitution when this goes into effect after it passes. The mandate provisions in the federal health care law will go into effect in 2014. So we will have the unique situation, or in our nation's history, of a federal law actively seeking to take away individual liberties that are protected by citizens and residents of the state of Arizona. That there is no Supreme Court precedent. Now, we happen to have the most federalist-friendly Supreme Court that we've had since the mid-1930s. There was the English language learners case, which many of you here are familiar with here in Arizona, where the Supreme Court said effectively Arizona solutions for Arizona problems. There was a Texas Voting Rights Act case where the Supreme Court recently said Texas solutions for Texas problems. And perhaps, again, there is no perfect analogy. There was the Oregon right to die case, since there is a federal law banning any kind of physician-assisted suicide or end-of-life things. And Oregon passed a law saying it was okay. We can debate the merits of it. That's a different story. But there was a state law related to health care and individual liberties to do with your health and body what you wish. That was in direct conflict with an established federal law. And the U.S. Supreme Court said Oregon solutions for Oregon problems. Beyond all that, there's no question from the legal people we talk to that every lawsuit that's been filed, and as we know, there have been a bunch, is benefited by having state constitutional protections